So 5 years ago, the Lord saved me out of addiction. He saved me out of insanity, suicidal madness. And after a year in the Word and worshiping and praying, I finally got some freedom. And I went online to find out if the Bible and its truth apply to today. Because my take was, Lord, either this is true or it's not. Your Word is either true or it's not. But if it's not true today, then it's not true at all. And so I went online looking to see if anybody was living the life that Jesus said we would live. And so the first thing I typed in was miracles, healing miracles. And somebody came up, a certain pretty well-known, actually, Christian personality came up on YouTube and called a video. And it was documenting a healing, but I wasn't convinced. I just didn't. I mean, if it had shown some of the stuff that I now see and have seen, like this weekend, man, we saw all kinds of stuff, undeniable stuff, you know. But if it had shown something that was that overt and obvious, I would have been in, like, sold on. But it just, that particular instance just didn't convince me. But right on the next, queued up, the next video on YouTube was a video also from a certain well-known preacher. And it was just a little snippet of him preaching on righteousness and salvation. And because of the message, the gospel message, something lit up inside of me. And I was convinced, not from a healing video, not from some supernatural testimony, but from the preaching of the gospel. I was convinced that it's true. And I went out and laid my hands on the first person I could find, and that person got healed. Yeah, man. And so I said, dude, there's people out there, and they've been doing it a lot longer than I have, and they've got experience, and I must get with them, because the truth is, in that year, I lost a couple really close friends to addiction and disease. And dude, I had enough, man. Enough. If a believer lays his hands on the sick and the sick recover, I'm a believer. And I'm going to see the sick. I've had enough loss, bro. And I'm just telling you straight up. And at that point, the Lord put on my heart a handful of guys, less than 5, that are well known today. And one of them was Pete. And I've met the others. And I've spent time with the others. And I've prayed with the others. And Pete was the one guy I had not yet met. And I said, Lord, if it's true that you want me to get with Pete and learn from him, then you're going to have to make a way, because I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have the means to get from New York, Jersey to Kansas. I don't. But I'll tell you this. A man came from Kansas to visit his daughter in Jersey. And his daughter called my wife and said, will you guys come for dinner? I want you to meet my parents. And her parents were former pastors. In fact, the father, he gave up on, not the faith, but he gave up on his call. Because he didn't see prayers answered. He lost people. He lost family members to disease and sickness. And at that point, his faith for healing got shipwrecked. And he was broken. And we're sitting around a table having dinner together, and he told me all this stuff, carrying a lot of weight and guilt and condemnation on himself for how he failed and how he got ahead of God and he stepped into something that he wasn't called to. And therefore he hung it all up and just went back to being a churchgoer. And that the gifts and healing and that stuff isn't for him. And, like I said, I just met the man. But I said, sir, with all due respect, I can't in good conscience get up from this table and leave this house letting you believe those lies. And I just gave it to him straight in love. And he fell apart, cried, and he said, would you pray for me? And I said, I'd be happy to pray for you. I laid my hands on him, I prayed, and he just got healing. He got healed. He just got healed. It's hard. And an hour later, he texted me and said, that school in Kansas you're trying to get to, I'd like to help you. So I said, cool, man, just pray for me. Pray that God makes a way. And then a week later, he called me up and said, expect a check. And I said, okay, Brother Gary, yeah, thanks, man. And then a couple of days later, I got a check for the full amount of airfare and tuition for the school, all of it totally covered. And I'm like, Lord, I guess it was your intention for me to get here because you made a way. And that man said to me, he said, I'm sowing because I know when I see good ground. And within a week, he had his seed multiplied and returned to him. Yeah, and so here I am, and I'm blessed. This has been an incredible time. Of all the people that I've met, of those 5, that handful of people that I've met, you'd know every name if I told you. I've been to their services, I've been to their conferences, but I've never experienced anything like this. Everything has its own strengths and value, but man, to be in a, come on, who opens up their house? Who opens up their home and lets complete, ultimately strangers. I mean, we're family, but he never met us. Pete never met me before. And, he ain't the kind to judge. But who lets 15 people into their home with their wife and children and into their life and to ride in their vehicles and sit at their table, sleep in their beds and shower in their... Come on, who does that? And since coming in this week has been... there's nothing like it. I've never experienced anything like it. Not because it's Pete, but because it's family. Because you're living with family here. And you're getting to know a family that you never met before. You never met them, but now you know a family that you've had all along, didn't know. And, you bounce testimonies off of each other. You pray for one another. We just worship for 2.5 hours straight. Man, my fingers are bordering on bleeding. But it's family. And we're able to encourage each other, and build each other up, and share our experiences, and share our strengths, and share our weaknesses. And bro, there's been so many tears. I mean, just tears and rejoicing and celebrating time in the Word, man, time in prayer. And so I'll say that component of this experience has been second to none. It's irreplaceable. You won't find it anywhere else. Just say it plainly. You won't find it anywhere else. And this is what discipleship ought to be about. I mean, it's good for us to pass on knowledge and testimonies and encourage and strengthen and sharpen one another, even in a weekend conference. But discipleship is meant to be experienced walking side by side. It's meant to be that way. And we are disciples making disciples, And otherwise, it's just an idea. It's just a teaching that you're trying to apply to your life when you leave the place. When you leave the conference, you're trying to take the teaching and apply it to your life, and man, that's hard. But when you're walking with somebody who's walking it out, you see it. And when you see it, and you're encouraged to do it, and then you do it, and you're ready to teach it. You can try to apply a teaching, but you can't be who you are until you know who you are. And truly, you can't know who you are until you're walking with somebody who's already a kingdom son. You got to be a son of the kingdom to be made as one. You know what I mean? And then you'll do what a son does. I mean, a son does as a son is, but if a son doesn't know who he is, then everything that we do it's just function. It's just a person functioning in maybe a gifting or functioning out of faith. But if you don't understand that the kingdom love that binds you to your Father and the love that binds disciples to one another, brothers, then you're just going to be trying to do in order to validate who you think you are. But when you get this teaching, this identity teaching that Pete gives, you're convinced without a shadow that you're a son. And then you walk in sonship. All creation's groaning. And that's the simple truth. And it's about time, right? It's about time the sons rise up and reveal themselves, manifest what a son looks like. Playtime is over. I mean, I love that people are out there running around, laying hands, doing miracles, baptized. I love it. It's awesome, man. Get it on every screen imaginable so that people will see it. But in the end, we're in a war, and souls are the battlefield, and the stakes are eternal. And playtime's over, bro. It ain't a game. And if we don't know who we are, then the next stiff breeze to blow along is going to knock us over. The next movement will be the next Christian fad, and just get in on it. We're going to chase around the next Christian personality. Nah, we're following Jesus. He's the firstborn among many sons. And that's what you find out here. You find out how to put off the old man. Because the old man died. The body of the flesh. He died with Christ. We're not trying to patch him up. Man, it's not sin management. It's not anger management. We're not trying to be good Christian boys anymore. That man, you just gotta die, bro. Sin, the wages of sin is death. Right? And so you sin, you gotta die. So you come here and you die. The old man dies. And you learn how to put him off. You learn how to take that old fallen identity, the nature that was crucified and evicted through the born-again experience. The mind of that man has to die. You have to put off the old man and then be renewed, because you live a transformed life only through the renewing of the mind, and you have to be renewed even in the spirit of a mind. You take on the spirit of a son as your mind becomes unified with the mind of the Spirit. You take on the mind of Christ, and it's a process. Yes, it's a growing process where you learn how to put off the old and put on Christ. Absolutely. But if you don't start from the foundation of sonship, then you're always going to be striving toward rather than living from. And that's what you get here, man. And, you know, I can tell you this, that when I head back east, it'll never be the same. The East Coast ain't never going to be the same, man. And we've been running with the gospel. We've been seeing healings. We've been seeing deliverances. We've been seeing salvations and baptisms and the Holy Spirit infilling. We've been making disciples. We've been preaching the gospel, bro. But this is like, I feel like I just upshifted. Like, I feel like we can let the clutch out. We can let the wheels spin, and we can just lay tracks, man. And we can all the way in, man, heaven bound. It's true. That's where I am. And my wife and my daughter are at home, and they have been so understanding as far as letting me come here and holding down the fort there. And they've been so supportive. And the beauty of this teaching is that not only does it apply to a dude, but my wife is a son. She knows it. You know, so when I can go home, I can impart the teaching to her and to our daughter. And we can walk as a unit. And the royal family will extend, you know, from the fields of Kansas to the city on the East Coast, man. It's going to happen. It's awesome. And I encourage anybody who can get here and have this experience, come. Oh, man. Every group is different, I'm sure. But the experience that I've had with this group, I've formed relationships that are going to last. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, these relationships will last. And come, get here if you can get here. The teaching is, you are not going to find it anywhere else. I'm telling you, I've sat under all kinds of teaching. I've been to all kinds of places, and everything has its value. I'm not downgrading anybody else's teaching or their revelation. But when you are down to earth, grounded in your identity, it becomes easy to relate to me. I feel like I can talk to anybody. I mean, I can walk up to anybody today and look them straight in the eyes and love them. And that wasn't true before I came in. That was the one thing, honestly, the one thing that I really hoped to get from this experience was to get my identity crystallized, to get settled. Because I felt like there were some people I could relate to. Like, I could walk, you know, in the hood. I could walk through the streets where I used to run and gun, and I could talk to people. But sometimes I had a hard time talking to church folk. You know, people all niced up on Sunday morning in their Sunday best. And like, I rub shoulders with these people Sunday after Sunday. I go to church. I'm a faithful church-going man. I've been a leader in the church for a while. But there's a certain mentality in the church that's a little intimidating to somebody who's up and come, just wants to grow in Christ, because I just feel like we just don't ever measure up. And I've never been able to look those people in the eye, because my sense was that they thought I didn't measure up. But now I'm sure I can walk them right up into the eyes irrespective of where they are or what they think or where they stand or what their opinion about me is, or even what doctrine they're clinging to. I cannot walk right up to them and look them right in the eye and just love them. Love of Christ. And so my identity, man, it's been crystallized. It's been settled. Clarity has come. And when you meet somebody like Pete, who he's got a big personality. He's bold and he's got a big personality, and the screen might even tend to inflate the personality. But when you meet him firsthand, when you shake his hand, you give him a big hug, and he says, "I love you, dude. I love you too. I really appreciate you as I appreciate you." Like, it's just brothers. It's simple. There's no build-up. There's no fluff. There's no sensationalism. There's no lights and cameras and action. There's no turn Pete on, turn on the Christian. Nah, he's Pete. He's Pete all the time. And it's been a real blessing to just, because now I know this. I tend to, and I think most people also tend to, put people up on pedestals, And unfortunately, we live in a Christian culture that is ready to make Christian superstars. We're ready to produce the next Christian superstar, and unfortunately, many people are gunning for that status in the kingdom. And man, I would put people up on pedestals, and it would put me lower because I put people higher. But man, just meeting Pete, he's like, "Hey, Gabe, if you want to ride in my car with me, I got an extra seat." We just talk and listen to music and just share the real. Just talk real and share the real. And I'm able to just open up to him and say, I feel like I'm missing it here. And he's like, "Yeah, I know, bro. I know. I've been there." And he just helped you walk through that. And it's real. For me, it's easy to know that you're a son when you're the brother of a son. That's what happened for me this week. It became easy for me to believe that I'm a son because I know I'm the brother of a son. I most definitely would recommend this. I know there's a new facility being built, and I know Pete and company, the World Family School of Identity and Lifestyle, is going to be able to house more students in the near future. And I can't imagine how awesome that's going to be. But living here in the house with Pete and family has been incredible. And I know it's just going to be family over there as well. And I say that because there will be an opportunity for more to come. And so if you're out there and if you're wondering whether or not this is an experience that you would benefit from, I promise you, I guarantee you 100% it's just an experience that will benefit you. And it's the Lord's will for you to come out here. Then you pray and expect the funds to come. You expect the Lord to make a way, and you come out here. And I promise you it'll never be the same. Now, if you want to stay the same, you can sit there and wonder what if. Or you can engage your faith, step out with the boldness that you so greatly desire to have in your experience, your Christian walk. And come find out what's on the other side of normal. Yeah.
Let's do it.